unemployment rates as high as 24%, suicide rates jumping from 12.1 to 18.9 per 100,000 American citizens, and family growth down 20%. Those are just a few statistical snapshots of the Great Depression. What I want to focus on today is not necessarily the Great Depression, but the causes of the Great Depression. First, we're going to talk about war debts and their effects. Then we're going to talk about overproduction in the industrial and agricultural sectors. Then we're going to talk about the stock market crash of 1929, which led to bank failures all over the U.S. This first slide is just a snapshot of the millions of dollars that America loaned out pre- and post-war. This was a major cause of decline in global trade. What you see on this slide is the war-stricken countries that America loaned out loans to were unable to pay back, many of them defaulting. This in turn caused the U.S. to put high tariffs on on imports. So what happened after that is the countries that did default on loans retaliated against the U.S. and also imposed high tariffs. All this in turn led to global trade drastically declining. Next, we're going to talk about industrial and agricultural overproduction. During World War I, there was a need for mass production of items, mass production of food that other countries were purchasing from us. With the war debts and the decline in exports, this stuff wasn't needed anymore. So what this caused was people weren't getting paid enough to buy these items, so we were just producing, and because there was so much already produced, there was no need for people to work, so there's no jobs. This was very apparent in the agricultural sector. This led to an agricultural slump. Overproduction made prices go way down. This in turn caused farmland the price of farmland to decrease drastically. Not only did this also cause farmers a hard time getting loans for new mortgages and keeping up with their farmland. Also, banks that had given out bank loans were in peril. Giving out farm mortgages were in peril of losing all that money and not being able to get anything back. And then the stock market crash in 1929. Although many people think that this was the reason for the Great Depression, it was only another event that led to the Great Depression. This may have accelerated the lead to the Great Depression, but it was not the only cause. What I'm going to do is lead you through a timeline of what happened. During the Roaring 20s, everybody prospered. Stocks were going up, everyone was making money. But there were no regulations on this, so a lot of illegal stuff was happening. So in September, early October, everything started to decline. The stock market crash only lasted 4 days, but its effects lasted much longer. The record high the Dow Jones record high was on September 3rd, 1929. It was at 381.2. The record low, only a mere 4 years later, was 41.22. Stock market crash began October 24th, 1929, and then the infamous Black Tuesday, 1929, October 29th. Over 16 million stocks were sold that year. It was a drop in 25%, so people lost about $30 billion in market value that day. This led to bank failures. People lost confidence in the economic system, lost confidence in the banking system. So if you can see here, in 1929, 650 banks failed. In 1930, 1,300 banks failed. So a rough estimate, by 1933, 1/5 of every bank that was in existence in the 1930s had failed. This was, like I said, a loss in confidence. People were afraid to keep their money because they didn't know if they were going to be able to get it back. So many people were losing life savings. Everything they worked hard to earn, they lost in these bank failures. Many banks failed because of what was known then as a bank run. What a bank run is large numbers of people all went to the bank all at the same time and all withdrew cash deposits. This is major for banks because banks don't keep that much cash on hand. They loan out their cash to other individuals, which in turn they pay interest on. So bank doesn't necessarily have that much cash, and so when everyone was coming to the bank to acquire their money that they had, the bank was having to liquidate their assets and sell at many times rock bottom prices. So the bank is losing millions of dollars on this. So bank runs were usually spurred by rumors or one example is on history.com is an individual went to a bank to sell stock. The bank did not want the stock, so he went out and told a rumor that the bank was failing and that people needed to get their money. So that afternoon, some 100,000 individuals showed up to this bank and tried to get their money out, which in turn caused the bank to actually fail. So in conclusion, what we went over today is the war debts caused by World War I. When World War I was going on, we prospered, everything was good. After that, it was like we're coming down from the climax. We do world, we loan all this money, we mass produce, we make so much money from producing, other countries buying. Now it's time for them to pay us back after the war. They're not able to do that, they're not able to pay us back, they're not buying anything from us, we're producing too much. And that in turn led to a downturn in our economic system. What I was talking about, we're producing too much. The agriculture sector producing too much, industry producing too much. We're having all this stuff flood the market. We're not having to have jobs because there's so much in the market. So no one's going to be able to buy that because no one's having a job. And that, like I said, led to the agricultural slump. Farmland decreased. More than half the country were farmers. So when this happened, more than half the country lost their money and they weren't able to make a living for themselves. The infamous stock market crash. Everyone's heard about the stock market crash. Everyone believes that this is the cause of the Great Depression. Like I said, it may have accelerated us into the Great Depression, but it was not the single one event that caused the Great Depression. And then bank failures. You gotta have faith in your bank. I mean, you worked hard for this money, and people were afraid that they weren't gonna get their money, so they all went all at once trying to get their money. So, what I was saying is not one single event caused the Great Depression. It was a combination of these multiple events ongoing that led to one of the hardest times in American history. Thank you.